Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I had one great question from one of you guys that was wondering if I could do a video on finding preceptors, and yes, I am doing that today. So I just really want to first start by saying I don't have a magic formula of how to find a preceptor. And I really wish I did, because I would have used it for myself. I wish there was something that I could say, if you do this, this, and this, that you will get this result. But there's just so many variables to finding a preceptor that there's no way I could say, you do this and you for sure will get this result. Only thing that I can tell you is what I have been doing and different options out there for you to do. I also want to talk about different variables that could affect finding a preceptor, because I think it's important for everyone to be aware of the different variables, and it's not necessarily just you that you aren't able to find someone, or you're not looking hard enough, or whatever, that there's just other things that come in the way. So I really want to talk about the different variable issues first, so that we can get that out of the way, and then hopefully I can give you guys some ideas of how to find a preceptor. So first things first, one variable is going to school online versus going to school in a traditional setting. If you go to school in a traditional setting, let's say let's just use my state. If you're in Florida. If you go to school in Florida and go in person, then let's say you go to one, I don't want to name any schools, but let's just say you go to one school. That school might have an affiliation with different offices around, which will hinder someone that's going online to finding a big chunk of preceptors, because they are, I guess, taken up by the students that go to that school that's affiliated with it. That could be one hindrance if you don't go to that school to find a preceptor, because they're already reserved for the students in that school. That's one thing. Another thing is even just where you live in general. Is there a huge saturation of NPs, or is there an NP so far away that there's nothing around you? It's where you live that can be a hindrance. It could be what state you're in. Again, is the state saturated with NPs, or are they not? Because that's going to be a hindrance of finding a preceptor. Now again, depending on the school that you go to, some schools allow you to work with an NP or an MD. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know if they allow you to precept with a PA, but that's besides the point. But its location is an issue too. Like where you live, is there enough NPs near you? Are there enough NPs in, I'm just going to say for a family, in the outpatient setting that's even willing to precept you? You know what I'm saying? Just because they're out there doesn't mean that they're willing to precept you. That's another thing. Sometimes, especially now in these days with, the pandemic and everything, that's a whole other issue, on top of that, because maybe they were taking students before and now they're not. You just never know. There's so many variables that it's really hard to decipher. Maybe you came from a family of physicians, and a family friend that can be your preceptor, or maybe you're working now and someone that could precept you. That's a great advantage. But if you don't, or if you're not working, or if you don't come from a family of physicians, you may not know anyone to ask. That's another variable in the situation. Another thing is, some people might precept you, but you may need to pay for them to precept you, and that might be a totally fine option. Or maybe you do find someone that maybe doesn't charge, but they're not as good. You know what I mean? Because I know most of the time we're even just trying to find someone at all. You know what I mean? We're just trying to find a preceptor in general, not necessarily whether they're good or bad, but we just need to find someone because we need to check off those clinical marks, right? But there's just so many different variables that I really wish I I could say if you do this and this, you'll get this result. I really wish I could, but I can't. And that's just the reality of finding preceptors. It is not easy, especially now. It is not easy. I really don't know what else I could say. But I can say what I've done. And I mean, one of my videos, I discussed that I couldn't find a preceptor, which is why I am delayed a semester. Finally, I found one, but you know, it's not easy at all. And I think once you realize that some people might be very lucky. Some people might really find one the first try and it'd be wonderful. And that's freaking awesome. And if you find someone, hold on to them as much as you can, because just realize that you're one of the luckier ones, because it's not an easy process. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. And it's not as straightforward as one would think, because I believe out of all the provider level positions, I think NPs are the only ones that are having to find preceptors, where I think in other specialties they have ones already there for them. So that's a whole other thing in itself. But anyway, so what I had done before I finally found at least one, I'm like, let me at least find one, is I first started going in person to different places, and I would have like packets of my resume, packets, like a lot of them, and I would just research who I could go to, who would be accepted by my school, and just hand out packets, explain what I'm doing there, handing out packets. There were some places that didn't precept students or didn't precept anybody. Okay, fine. Some places didn't even know what a preceptor was, and I was just like, maybe it's time to go, because if we don't know what a preceptor is, that's not good for me or for any student. So that was another issue. Sometimes you are competing with students in the school nearby. There's really nothing you can do with that. If they are affiliated with the school, there's nothing you can do to say for you to get in, because you're just not part of the school. So that's another thing too. There's just so many variables there's no way for me to say. So I first started going in person, and I started asking, can I speak with the provider or the MD or the NP? That was my first mistake. Don't do that. When you go in person, if you choose to go in person, ask always for the office manager. The office manager is your, I guess, I don't know sports that well, but I guess the quarterback of the team. They're the ones that are going to decide everything for the physician, whether or not they will be precepting someone, their scheduling, everything. If you go in person and you speak with the front desk, ask, can I speak with the office manager? Don't ask if you can speak with the physician, because that was my first mistake. So after a while, I went to a lot of places in person, because I thought, going in person, they can see my face, they can see my personality. It's like I actually took the time to go there, make these copies of my resume, hand it to them, all of that. After a while, I realized that was not the best approach for me, because it took up a lot of my time, and I didn't see I didn't see that people were as impressed that I went in person. I think for some places, maybe it was more of like an intrusion. I don't know. So it might work for some people. It really just didn't work for me. After a while, I'm just like, I don't have time to keep, going places in person, because I had to do school. I had so much school work to do that I just could not make time to keep going in person. So that's when I started calling. That's not true. Then I went on to the ENP network. That was finally where I had found the preceptor that I'm at with now. I'm not going to discuss who it is or where it is or anything like that, but that was a huge resource. I really recommend you getting onto the ENP network or some type of network that's similar. I think there's a couple of them out there, and I can't remember the name, but I know ENP network is legit. I think there's another one that's legit. I can't remember the name, but something out there to help pair you up with someone, because at least you know that whoever is a preceptor on that site is at least willing to precept you. And if you go to school online, and maybe your school's in a different state, that they're obviously not affiliated with one school and are willing to take students from other schools that are maybe not in the general area. So that's a huge thing. Get on there, see who you can talk to, and it's also a hit or miss. I don't know how they update their website, or if they do, because I've contacted a lot of people and I never got a response, and then I've contacted some people and didn't get a response. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a hit or miss there too, but at least that's a great way to start. Then what I did was I contacted my school and I was like, hey, I'm really having trouble finding a preceptor. For whatever reason, they're either affiliated with another school, they're not taking students, blah, 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 this and that, whatever, because the school I go to is not in my state. So it was worse because it's like the school that I go to is in another state, so they're aware of the practices in their area. But I mean, to know all the practices throughout the whole country is, it's a lot for them to know. Luckily, I explained my situation. I don't know if this is going to be the case for all schools, but they keep records of previous students that had gone to different practices within different states, because if you go to school online, you probably have students from all over the country going to different places. So they have kept, obviously, records of where students had gone, so you can go ahead and contact those prospective people. So that was a huge help, because at least this way I know, one, they've been affiliated, at least personally, with my school. So they've obviously had taken students before, they probably will take them again. And second of all, I have a more narrowed list of who I can contact, because there's so many different places. And again, it's a hit or miss. Like I said, some people didn't even know what a preceptor was. Some people just didn't take students. And this way, at least I have a list of people that are at least willing to take students and have taken students from my school before. So if you can contact your school and be like, hey, I'm really having trouble finding somebody, this reason, whatever, and see if they have a list of maybe some students that lived in your area before, had gone to different places that you didn't know of, and now you have a new list of who to contact, and at least it's a more positive perspective of group of people. So I think that's something that you should do too. And then also, it's just calling. Just call. Look up if you need a OBGYN, if you need pediatrics, if you need primary care, whatever. Just look in your area. Start in your area and expand. That's all you have to do. Just call. Always ask for the office manager. They are the ones that you want to speak with. They are the ones that you want to give your resume to, give your information from, give your scheduling for. Speak with the office manager. Again, I hope I'm using the analogy right, but they are the quarterback of the office. I hope that's correct. But please don't fault me if it's not. But anyway, just calling a bunch of people. I would say before to recommend to go in person, but I know now with everything going on, you probably don't want to go in there anyway. But now I would just recommend just call. And another thing I recommend is start early. There's never too early. I have now called people where I have been too early and they say, call me back at this date and we'll discuss it then. Fine. At least I'm on their radar. They probably have written my name down somewhere, so when I call back, first of all, they knew that I was responsible enough to call back, and second of all, they already have some idea of why I'm calling. It's not like a brand new conversation. So I don't think too early. There's no too early. There is too late. Or you don't want to have to let yourself get behind from this process. It is a tedious and stressful process, and you don't want that to be the reason why you're behind. If it is, it is. I mean, in my case, I'm a semester behind, but overall in the years to come, it's not going to be a big deal. Right now, is it annoying? Yeah. But I'm definitely super thrilled where I'm at now, so it kind of like everything happens for a reason in a way, so I'm fine with it. But start as early as you can. Just start calling people, make a list of, okay, I need family, I need adult, I need pediatrics, I need OBGYN. Just write down all these names and call. Who's a prospective, who's an ex, and who's a maybe, who's a let's get an interview, There's just it's just quite the process. We're all gonna have to go through it. Hopefully at some point, maybe it'll be an easier process later on, but for now, this is what we have to deal with. Again, it's a long and stressful process, but you can do it. It's going to take a lot of your time. I think if you know going in that it's going to be a little bit difficult and you have your expectations right, it won't be so stressful, because I didn't know it was going to be this difficult. I really didn't. I was like, oh, I'm going to find one in a couple weeks and then go on vacation and be good and, enjoy my break before I start school. No. And again, it's not, everyone's experience is going to be very different. Again, depending on who you know, where you live, are they affiliated with any schools near you? It's going to be a lot of things. What I recommend is to start early. There's never going to be too early. You want to be on people's radar, so at least they know that, who you are, what you want, that type of thing. Call as many people as you can. Get on the ENP network or anything that's similar to that. Get your resumes out there, and just call and call and call until you grab one. And sometimes when you find one, it might be easier to find the rest, because that provider might know people in different specialties that can help you get in contact with them, or they might know people who are willing to take students. So sometimes I think that it's just the hardest to find that first one, because if you're coming from nothing to all of a sudden want to find someone, that's difficult. But when you find one person, they at least got to know some other people that either they refer to, or maybe they're friends with someone else, and that they can help you. Because once you already got your foot in the door, it's easier to kind of, go around and find what you need. But again, I really, really wish I could sit here and tell you exactly what to do to find a preceptor. But the reality is it's not very easy, and it's going to be a different experience for every single person from the different variables that I discussed before. I don't want you to get discouraged, because it's very easy to get discouraged. Just keep calling, keep emailing, keep doing what you gotta do. You will find someone, you will get there. If you're delayed because you couldn't find anyone, don't worry about it, okay? I think a lot of schools, especially now, are being more flexible just because of whatever, everything that is going on. So don't get discouraged, because in the grand scheme of things, it really won't be a big deal. I know now it's very annoying and it's frustrating, like, oh my God, like another semester, are you kidding? But just take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. Just look at all your options, talk to your school about it, see if they know or have a list of people that went to places around your area, network, talk to other students, maybe see if they have found someone. Maybe, one student already did peds and you need peds and you can switch, with whatever you have, stuff like that. Just keep looking, keep searching, because also it could be timing. Maybe they do take students, but they already have someone, or they, have too many, and then maybe they're open up for the next semester and you can just hop in there and get that spot. Sorry, my camera wanted to heat up all of a sudden, but I don't even remember what I was saying. But just know that it's gonna be a little bit of a process. I don't want to lie and say it's gonna be easy, because it's not. But you'll be fine. You'll get there. You will just have to keep calling and writing and searching, and eventually you will find someone. Again, if you're delayed, don't let yourself get discouraged. In the grand scheme of things, it will not be that big of a deal. But I wish you luck in finding a preceptor, because it's not going to be easy. But I really think once you find the first one, it'll be easier. You have a better idea of how to find the others, and just do the best you can. That's really all you can do, especially in these times. Just do whatever you can. Talk to your school, be communicative with everyone, and just explain what's going on. See if people can help you. There's always someone there to help, and you'll be okay. It'll take time, but you'll be okay. All right, I'm sorry this video is, I wish I could give you a formula. Again, I know I said this a million times. I really wish I could, but I would have used it on myself. And it's a learning process. Let's just leave it at that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If there's any other video or topic that you'd like me to discuss, please feel free to leave a comment down below. If you have a more personal question about your nursing school journey or FNP school journey, feel free to email me if you don't want to leave a comment. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Remember to always believe in yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and best of luck finding a preceptor. Bye guys.